What's up, Eric?
Hey everyone. Hi Robert. Thanks
Hey.
for coming out. Yeah, I'm a new organizer as of recently, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say.
Sure. Well, I'm happy to present. I mean, I feel like you'll be more interested in have it like more as an interactive session where I can just show you and maybe ask some questions. And I mean, I made a deep dive into the Chrome extensions and all the AI stuff. So it'll be more interesting if you just ask me questions all the way, and I'll just share what have I figured out.
Yeah, sounds
Yeah.
good.
Sounds good. I guess we'll just get started then. So the reason why we're having this webinar is because AI Tinkers Ottawa is currently having a hackathon, and we're trying to showcase different types of projects that people are building just to get some inspirations for our participants. So I think your project is super cool. I saw yours on Reddit. We don't know each other before this, but this is like the first time we're seeing each other's faces. And you're based out in Poland, right? And
Yeah.
most of us are in Canada. Like probably 80% of us is in Ottawa, some in Toronto, who might be watching this later. But yeah, so if you want to just get started, take it from there.
Yeah, so my name is Robert and I'm based in Poland, and I made a few Chrome extensions, and the one with the chat with page went a little bit viral. And yeah, I also made another extension, which I'll share later, which is like take a screenshot of your page and it'll send it to the GPT-4 vision and explain what does it see. And it also went viral on Twitter. It got like 500,000 views or something. And yeah, the cool thing, I guess, I want to get like started, and maybe if someone is listening to it and wants to get inspired, is that I really decided to ship fast stuff, and I use like many cool tools for this. And one of the cool tools, actually, can I just share my screen and start doing this stuff, right? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Window entire screen. Here we go. Okay. Let me just open my browser. So basically, the idea is that I want to build extensions as fast as possible. And for this, I use the Plasma. And this is basically like they present themselves as the Next.js, but for Chrome extensions. And it basically allows you to build a Chrome extension super fast using the React components. And if you take a look at my GitHub and the stuff with a chat with page, so it looks like exactly like Tailwind and Tailwind, React.js, like Node.js, Next.js setup. And it's all pretty standard. But the cool thing is that if you use Plasma, it kind of automates a lot of problems for you. And it's like absolutely free, it's open source, and so on. And this is how I build it. And another core insight that I think many people don't really recognize is that Chrome extensions can actually do a lot of computations in the backside. So for example, they can index the page and make it semantically searchable. So it hasn't been very popular yet that you kind of do the semantic search on the client side. And now, as the computers get more and more popular, it's kind of the CPU chips power is also grows. And basically, in the end, my Mac M1 is super powerful, and it can compute a lot of stuff just on it. So basically, my M1 chip can compute those vectors and embeddings super fast locally. And I decided to leverage that. And apart from that, it can be completely free. And the extension with the chat with page, the only price you use is actually the OpenAI API key. And there is like zero backend. So because there is no zero backend, like the costs are basically going strictly down, like absolutely to the bare cost minimum, to the bare products. And yeah, let me just share how it works. So let's say here I'm on the page, and it's just a random page I opened a few minutes ago from the Hacker News. And basically here I just can trigger a shortcut on my page, and it'll prompt me that, like, let's say here, like what could be my question, and let's try to reload it, and I'll go and show it. So trigger shortcut. Wait, wrong shortcut. Yeah, and it appears on the bottom, and now I can ask like, what are the problems with ADHD? And after this happens, so basically the page in the background, it got indexed. So each of the, yeah, I think someone has a question.
Yeah, just to put this right in my head. So when the extension is loaded, it'll just automatically index just the page that you're looking at. It's not going to see like neighboring links, approximate pages that or anything like that. It's not going to eagerly fetch a little more content, even if it's restricted to the same site or something like that. It's strictly the page we're looking at.
Yeah, this is a good question. Yes. So basically, the moment you trigger a shortcut, the page starts to get processed and created the index with embeddings.
Got it.
Yeah, well, but like theoretically, extension has the power to access all of your browser tabs. And this is why Chrome extensions are actually very, very restricted by the Google Chrome and the Google Chrome team. They basically manually review each one of them, and sometimes may get rejected if you're kind of don't share too much data or you're kind of stealing it. So yeah, basically Chrome cares about it, but I have access to the current page, and the moment I trigger the shortcut, it goes to the processing the page in the background, creates the embeddings, creates the indexes, and then it is semantically searchable. Does this answer?
Yep.
Great. So yeah, basically in the background, this page, as I said, went in a chunks. It got processed, and the moment I trigger a shortcut, as a first step, it kind of find top 5 chunks and highlighted them on the page, which is basically like, let's say, first paragraph, second paragraph, and like something else on the bottom, like common misdiagnosis of ADHD. Then it used this as a prompt, and there goes like a classical retrieval augmented generation. And then it just got sent to it can be easily sent to the GPT-4 or any local model. So here, I think it got sent to the OpenAI. And in the extension, I just made it a little bit nice so that you can just trigger here, you can put your OpenAI API key, and it'll be saved locally. So basically, as there is no backend, I don't even have access to anything running in your browser, like nothing. It's all stored inside your Chrome browser. And every time you make a request, it makes a request through the local instance for your computer, no third-party service. And this is the cool stuff. Yeah, so what else can be interesting? The cool stuff as well, which can be with this extension, is that if you really want to, you can make it like 100% local. So many of you probably are like familiar with the local llama or like Llama stuff, right? And basically those are the tools which allow you to run the local models inside your terminal, inside your computer. So basically, if I just trigger here like a shortcut that run light LLM, right, and it'll like model some kind of a model. Let's say it's like Mistral 7B. It's gonna use I triggered the wrong shortcut, but before that I ran the shortcut with the Mistral 7B, and it just got started and got running. Yes.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. As you said, you want questions as we go, so this is good. Why do you wrap the Ollama? Why don't you just Ollama serve? Why do you wrap it with light LLM? Just curious.
Yeah, well, so Ollama basically allows you to do to run those computations inside a terminal, but and like run the predictions in your terminal and maybe some other kind of stuff. But I needed to have the server, which I can hit with the requests.
Yeah, Llama does that. When you say Llama serve, same.
I think I haven't found the Ollama command which allows me to make the server with a port.
Ollama serve. That's it. Ollama serve.
Really? Wait, Ollama.
Is that just like spin up like a REST API web server locally or something?
Yeah, and part of the request is which model you're running. It'll start the model, and you're like in your request it says like use Mistral, and then the next one comes in and says, oh, use Llama 2. Okay, that's okay. So it was whenever you started, it's like, oh, it's better to wrap it this way.
So the question is for me then is, does this Ollama serve has the OpenAI API like endpoint?
I don't know if it's in parallel because there's like two commands. One is when you hit the generate API, I think it is the OpenAI spec, but there's one before that like will select the LLM that you're actually running because there's only one model running at a time. So I don't know if it's wrapped or not, but that's the way I'm using it now. Like if you're using LangChain, if you use the Ollama constructor instead of like an LLM, you can just go switch your models on the fly, even in a single program.
Yeah, so the core point for me to use the Light LLM is that it serves you like you can call LLM with the OpenAI API like specifics.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
if you need to kind of switch from Ollama to OpenAI, it's just one endpoint switch.
Got it.
And I would use like the Ollama serve. I think I found that like the GitHub issue, and this is why I kind of used it and installed it. But if the Ollama serve is the OpenAI compatible, then I would just use it. But it doesn't really make a difference. The core
No,
idea,
it doesn't. It doesn't. At the end of the day, the
at the
interface
end
is
of the
very
day,
simple.
there's like a port opening, and it runs somewhere, and it can just easily go to my extension and kind of replace the OpenAI.com or something API with the port, right? So somewhere here, I will
And then
replace.
Light LLM just proxies that to whatever the adaptation. If the Ollama API is slightly different, just adapts it, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's allowed like easily streaming. Everything is like compatible. This was the main core idea for me why I use Light LLM. And
Okay.
yeah, so basically the extension structure, as I said, is pretty simple. But because Chrome extension are kind of like overall are pretty painful, I would say, not a lot of people actually go inside them. And the problem is that Chrome restricts developers so much, and it cares like too much about the privacy sometimes. They kind of need to create like the hacks to go over and use. So the core problem was that you can't run the worker which will compute the embeddings, and it was a problem for me. And kind of use the off-screen stuff. If anyone else kind of faces this problem, sometimes the off-screen JS would be a core solution which would like actually help solve some stuff. Yeah, I think this actually kind of gives a nice overview about this stuff. Let me know if you want to go deeper into any kind of details. And yeah,
Okay.
what else do you want to hear about?
I do have a question. So you mentioned that everything is front end, right? Everything is browser based. So when you send a request to, let's say, OpenAI, does it expose your roles in the network tab, or can you like potentially like capture that midway when it's being sent out?
Yeah, well, this is a good question. So it is sent to the OpenAI in the script, which is separated only for the Chrome extension. So no one apart for the Chrome extension can see it. And basically, I can show it to you. If I go to my extensions and I kind of look at the service worker, basically each of the extensions has its own, let's say, Node.js server in the backend. And this server is private. No one else can kind of get the request to it. And it's like privacy free. So, and then the request is sent is basically sent through this background worker, and nothing is exposed in the tab. Well, I can see it here in the performance, but it is the local script. Well, of course, if you kind of check the browser settings, it'll be exposed because it's still the browser. I mean, at any point in time, it'll still needs to be somewhere, right? So it'll appear somewhere, but the Chrome extension stuff is kind of secure. So if your browser is not compromised as per se, then it's not compromised.
Right. So I guess you can only allow users to put in their own keys, right? You can't have like a master key because that master key will be exposed immediately.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Yeah, and the Chrome extension.
Do you mean high like your own like the developer organization's key? No, it's not. It's not actually protected.
Yeah, like if you have one key for everybody to use, then that gets shown right away.
But you could just wrap your like add the key to this request to some kind of an edge server and Cloudflare workers or something like that. If that's all you wanted, it's like, oh, Dan installed my extension and now I want him to use my key. So you just shove the request through a zero cost edge, which would just inject your things and proxy it back.
Yeah, well, this is actually the hard question. So that extensions, if I want to, I can look into any of those extensions I have here. So their code for me is open source. If any one of those, like let's say Code, Squire, or something, will leave the OpenAI API key to kind of proxy and send it to their backend server, I can see it because I can see end to end every piece of their JS code. And I have another extension which can make it even nicer look, and I can just download it as a folder. So let's say this basically as a rule, an extension can be copied end to end. Like any interface can be copied end to end. The core functionality must lie in the backend server, which if you plan to make money. And to connect to this backend server, you usually kind of create the authentication tab. So for example, right now I'm kind of building another stuff to create and ask questions to the screenshot. It basically allows you to do something like, let's say you trigger enough, you can trigger a shortcut and let's see if it works here. Okay, it's GitHub. Basically, it allows you to kind of select the area and it just prompt a question like,
wow, this is cool.
What do you see? And it'll basically tell you what does it see. I think right now it'll answer download button visible. Well, I asked it to answer in 3 words, but basically it took the screenshot, sent it to my backend with my authentication key because previously I have logged in. And here I can see that I can use my OpenAI key, but also I'm logged into my account. And it kind of used the GVT token, which is secure for me and for everyone. And it used it to authenticate with the backend server. It's kind of painful, and it kind of takes a lot of time to learn all those super base connections and authentication stuff. But once you learn it, you cannot unlearn it. And this is a very helpful skill. And yeah, this is actually the stuff I'm developing right now.
Yeah, it's nice that you talk about that because we really do have to keep this all clear. Our job as a developer is get everything out of my way because I just want to get this thing to work. And then by the time you're now thinking about these kinds of issues, you're like, what secret bits lie exactly where becomes absolutely critical to how you're thinking about it. Maybe you didn't architecture things right. You just want to open up a hole to your fire hose of your local LLM or to your OpenAI account. So yeah, these details are very useful. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, Robert. I just want to say that I like your focus on allowing people to use their own API keys and also use local models while also prioritizing using open source software. It seems like you are really prioritizing making your Chrome extension as secure and privacy oriented as you possibly can, which is nice.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I mean, it's logical to make it secure and to allow people to use it if they want to. Well, I also have to earn some money, so I'm kind of building the paid version where people don't have to pass in their OpenAI API key, because actually 99% of the people don't have the OpenAI API key. Let's be honest.
How do you find the performance of local models do compared to OpenAI's API?
How do I find the
is the performance similar? Have you tried using local, sentence embedding models instead of using the developer API?
Yeah, well, so the OpenAI API key actually in the embeddings, it loses a lot. It's pretty bad, I would say. If you look at the charts, there is model which is called GT small, and let me just show you the size of the model. Oh, this actually, wait, let me type in something else. Xenova, and I think so. This model is the state of art, basically.
Okay.
It has one of the best ratings. I'm going to show it later, and it is better than OpenAI API embeddings added to, and the size of the compressed model is 32 megabytes.
Nice.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
And this is actually the model I'm using in my extension. You can load the extension, and the extension itself is 60 megabytes, and it has the model inside it. So you download everything straight away, and this is why this offline works like magic. And there is a model card. I think this is not the one, but okay, this is the original one. And here are the ratings, right? This is the ADA 2, and it is better than ADA 2, and it's smaller than ADA 2.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and it's great that you were able to achieve such great performance within the browser without relying on OpenAI potentially. So yeah, great job.
Thanks for the embedding.
Yeah.
Eric, to answer your question, I'm nowhere near the sophistication that Robert is there, but that I'm using a very similar setup just to start playing with actual algorithms doing an actual thing. And I would say that the biggest constraint with the one running on my M2 is the concurrency one kind of problem, right? So the model is actually pretty bad with Mistral and Llama 2. But if you're doing any kind of sort of back and forth, it just piles up pretty quickly. Whereas your OpenAI calls are like, just being parallelized. So if you're doing any kind of map reduce over, big chunks of things, and you got to sort of crawl through it, and then, so any kind of map reduce has been the like, oh, okay, that went from, 10 seconds to 3 minutes all of a sudden.
Yeah. Well, I think like in the future, Apple actually focuses on this part a lot, and they have been kind of in the local AI game before. It's still getting popular. It's still getting there, but they're very ahead, and they're very, very early. And the M3 chip, basically in a few years it'll be a standard, but right now it already allows you to run so many computations inside your Mac without like any calls, and the power of which I think many people actually don't realize. But in a few years, models like GPT-4 will be so small that they will easily fit into the memory of the MacBook, and most of the people will have their own local GPT-4 running. And this is not like a mystery. I mean, I posted on Twitter a few days ago that there is already a model which is 13 billions, and it is surpassing GPT-4 in the logical reasoning. And this has been like less than a year since GPT-4 release, and the model is like probably like 10 times to 50 times smaller in weights size than the GPT-4, which is absolutely crazy. And the pace at which open source is developing, and at which the CPU and the GPU chips are kind of rising, it's so it's so good that people are focused on the cool GPT stuff, but this stuff with the local is gonna rise so quick, people just not gonna realize it's already there.
It's bananas. The other thing I'm trying to sort of figure out how to get working is sort of an extension of your day. Is that, well, why don't we run it locally? But also, it's like I have a ton of hardware here, right? It's like there's like there's like 8 Macs in the house. It's like I don't want to start trusting, I don't want to do a trusted computing and everybody else's thing. But what if I had like, oh, hey, what about my own 8 machines? What about my 8 machines and the 3 that are in my brother's house and my mother-in-law's house? What we pooled all of those together instead of calling out to Open API, if we could call to a more like a peer network where you're like implicitly trust that computation can be run trustfully there, and everybody's running their own thing. And now we could solve the thing we just discussed with Eric, which is like, most of the time, all of this hardware is running idle, but like I could burst it and say like, here, use these 10 machines that I've been granted access to, but in a peer way. And then you use mine, I use yours, kind of a thing. I wish we could figure that out. That kind of like, let's share resources. Same for storage, but the compute would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. Well, I think this idea is actually it has a lot of potential for sure, but I think people are like, I'm not ready to the shared computation stuff, and the models like there is so many models, and it'll be so hard to set up just like kind of one cluster and allowing people to kind of share these computations. It's like, I think it's mathematically pretty hard problem to solve, to efficiently solve. And
no, it would require a very, very large cooperation agreement.
It's the area.
We're not there. We're not there.
It's like the federated learning stuff and the edge computations. Well, I just opened like my Mac M1 Pro GPU, and half of the GPU is not used, and it's like this all the time, and which is kind of it kind of proves the point that most of the time my computer is kind of staying still with the open tab in the browser while I'm reading something, and this could be potentially used for something. Well, the downside is that it uses still the energy. The energy doesn't go anywhere. It's still used. But most of the time, most of the computers stay still, and it has a lot of space for optimization. This is questionable.
For sure. And if you don't get the thing right, it's like something like IPFS, right? Which is such an awesome idea. But like for you to contribute storage to the network, it's
Yeah.
like you need a $5,000 setup basically, right? And you're like, come on, I just want to, I want to take a terabyte and give 2 terabytes. That's what one click. Come on, make it easy. But it's not because they're, oh, now you're in server coordination world and you must be a Kubernetes expert all of a sudden. You're like, no, that's not required.
You know who would support you in this kind of thinking? The Web3 community.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And they are doing some things on collaborative compute for sure. But then it's just similar as IPFS, or not IPFS, but say Filecoin, where you're like, as soon as you go out of the running on all your own stuff, then the coordination problem becomes one of like, what is the threat model? And the threat model is like, the internet is full of awful people. But if you could have some kind of trust, like within a reduced network, I'm not saying I trust the internet, but I'm saying like, oh, maybe I trust Hi, or maybe I trust my brother-in-law. That's a different kind of threat model there, which is like an in-between thing.
Yeah, this is definitely a very future thinking. Yeah, well, yeah, this is definitely also super interesting. But it's gonna take time to adopt everything you just said. It's gonna take so much time, but I can't even imagine how much.
Do you have something to show for like the local model running in the Chrome extension?
Yeah, let's check it out. Actually, let me just see. Where is it? Okay, I just need to run make. Okay, I just made it like so there is like a one command, and we should install everything on the Mac. Let's see. Let's see if it's this one or not. Okay, let me duplicate the tab.
So while this is loading, I have a question for you. Why do you think that Chrome extensions is having a moment this year? Like I've been seeing a lot of Chrome extensions being made, more than, and they're more interesting than like the ones that myself have seen like the past few years. So why do you think that's the case?
I think it has been like it has been super painful to develop them, and there are more open source kits to do it faster and easier. And I think this is kind of the reason why. But I also think that people kind of see how much money you can get from them, because objectively, if you look at the number of applications, there's like a chart which compares the number of apps in the Apple Store and iOS, right? So there's like 2 billion users, right? And there is like 2 million apps in the Apple Store. And Chrome Store has, I think, more users, let's say like 4 billion, but it has like 200,000 people. So it's like it's bigger than iOS, but the number of apps you can download in the Chrome Store is 10 times less than in iOS. And it's like it's like such a big market, but because it is not sold very good. Chrome did a very bad job to market it properly. Well, of course there is like Grammarly, of course there is honey.com, of course there is something else, but they're kind of only the exceptions rather, because most of the Chrome extensions actually never get like more than 100 downloads. Like I think 90% of them. Let's see. Okay, so I'm here in the base URL. Let me just replace it and let's see if it's okay. So here I just select the Mistral model and just let's make it running. Oh, what happened? It's gonna pull it. Okay.
Mistral is so fast locally. I'm finding like the results aren't as good as Llama 2, but oh my god, is it fast? It's so fast.
Damn. Okay.
Are you using like the chat models or the base models?
Yeah, the Llama 2 instruct when it's not qualified like that. It's the Q40 instruct version.
And yeah, I think I have a problem. Wait, okay? It was a Conda problem. Shit, I had Conda. Let's check this and point out. Okay, so basically just replace the OpenAI with and OpenAI endpoint with my base URL, and let's try to. I think I need to turn on something here to make it work. Okay, yeah, this one, the course. I haven't fixed this one yet. Okay, shortcut. Hello. Let's see if it's gonna work. Okay, okay. I guess. Wait. I'm not sure if actually it's working because it answered too fast. But yeah, I don't want to take too much time. But basically, the idea is that you just replace it with the endpoint, base URL with the local one, and it just magically starts to work. And you can see the request here. I think I made it work in the demo, but this is kind of how it works. Yeah. Damn, I'm not sure. Well, I can't say if it's working right now or not because I haven't opened this part of code for a long time. Damn.
So
anyways,
so you mentioned that eventually, like everyone's probably at some point is going to have enough compute power, like the M3 chip, and they'll be able to run their own local LLMs pretty efficiently, right? Like it's not gonna drain your battery as fast, and somehow Apple is like on top of this game since like the beginning. So where do you see yourself taking the extension? Do you see yourself moving away from the extension store, or do you see yourself like staying here and building it out to become a better extension as opposed to like a separate platform for this?
Yeah, well, I want to try to focus on the macOS apps and see how it goes, because basically by nature macOS has much more permissions, and instead of just taking a screenshot for this extension in the browser, I can take a screenshot for the whole screen. And I'm really fond of the idea of the open interpreter. You probably have heard about it, right? Open interpreter.
Yeah, I've seen the trailer for this. It's pretty cool.
It's like so good. I can't even believe it. And all you need to do is basically to run the interpreter here, and you can ask it any questions, which is kind of cool, because if you think about like let's say I have a task where I have let me just show you something. So I have screenshots, right, of my screen for today, where I was just taking screenshots for the demo you can see on Twitter. I just published it, and it was taking screenshots throughout the day, all like every 3 minutes. And if I just ask the open interpreter to, can you create a GIF out of those pictures? Do you see this screen, right? Is it not too small?
Yeah.
Those screenshots. And all I need to do is just to drag it here, and I just type it in, and the magic is gonna happen. It's gonna start to think, and it's gonna take all the images, use the library, and okay, let's just look at it.
Is Open Interpreter using a local model, or is it like hooked up to like GPT?
I think it's hooked up to the GPT. Okay, so it has found all. It made the comment. It ran the comment in my terminal, which is scary because it can also delete something. But it checked out the screenshots. Now it asks me if I want to install the package. I click yes, and it's like OpenAI. How's it called? Code interpreter.
Code interpreter. Yeah.
But I think this one has much more potential because it can see the screen in the future, so it can see a lot of stuff which GPT cannot. And just then the magic, all I need to do is like in Auto GPT, click yes, yes, yes. Okay, let's see. Nice. I think
That's bananas. Is it widely available, or is it like a beta
Yes,
thing?
it's on GitHub, and this is basically the demo of my day.
That's crazy.
Which is crazy, right?
Holy shit. That's bananas.
That's so cool.
And it did it. I mean, it took the screenshot. Let's say I made a screenshot myself. I have another script for it, but it created the demos. It created the GIF out of the screenshots, like just a drop. like drag and drop. Crazy cool. And it can also, like, I can also ask it to kind of, let's try something else. Would you like from, okay, let's say, can you sort the screenshot?
Do you actually ever read the code, or are you just like, yes, run it?
No, I have to, because it can delete something. But I think they have kind of restrictions. If, oh wait, can you sort this? Can you sort the screenshots and print them out? And print them out. And he's gonna think, he's gonna figure out the folder and the stuff. Sure, I can sort the screenshots. Yeah, and it does the magic. And you can basically, in the future, they also have kind of the context of the page. Not the page, the screen. So I think their next demo is actually showing that if I have this folder open, it's just going to prompt it if I want to use it as an input. And well, here it goes. And yeah, it's just like, it's kind of magic. In the future, well, I don't know, have you guys seen the tool? It's called Hyperwriter Assistant.
No.
Hyperwrite Assistant. So basically, the tool allows you to run your browser, like literally run your browser. I'm going to show it to you. Hyperwrite Assistant. It's pretty dope because it has the access to my browser, and it, for example, you can ask it to find top five Sam Altman interviews, right? Create a spreadsheet and save it there. Google spreadsheet. And well, just look at it. It's gonna, wait, I think I need the extension. Okay, the idea was that actually the hyperwriter, if I install the extension, is gonna have access to my browser. Hyperwrite.
So you're basically letting it control your browser?
Yes, and it basically has access to click the buttons. So you can ask it to, can you give more permissions to some user in the database? And it's gonna go to the Supabase, find the user, give him the permissions. Okay, so installed it. Let's check it out. Okay, get started. And okay, let's do it. Find top 5 Sam Altman interviews and save it here. Okay.
I wonder what your thoughts are on GPTs.
I think this is a very, very good marketing trick. It's such a smart move from the marketing perspective that is just because if you think about it, the whole Twitter just blew up. People literally, if you cut to the core, literally, oh, look at this. So Hyperwriter is working. It has the, okay, it's kind of has access to my browser and it starts to do some job. And yeah, well, oh, okay, so it's create a spreadsheet to explain about the magic happens. I think the GPTs is the cool trick because if you think about it, it's just a prompt sharing. People are just sharing prompts to each other. And it's not much more than the prompt sharing, I would say. I mean, you can add the data. There are pretty many opportunities for products to happen. But I think the GPTs is basically because sharing the link is literally the #1 strategy to make it go viral. Because everyone who let's imagine you're 40 years old, you really haven't heard too much about GPT. Oh, by the way, you see it's creating the title and the link. It's fucking magic.
Yep, somebody's using your computer right now.
I'm having my hands off. So yeah, the GPT is basically you're 40 years old and you just heard about GPT, but you're like, damn, this is kind of complicated. I don't want to roll into it. And someone sends you like, let's say a demo, or like shows you, hey, you're having like a visa problems, chat with this tool. And basically there is like a GPT which is prompted to help you with your immigration visa. Or let's say you have a problem with the design and you haven't yet used GPT. You're like 50 years old, but you're experienced. and someone sends you a link, hey, this is the best designer expert. It has been learned on the Steve Jobs and like best design practices. And you kind of look at it and you, damn, I need to buy this subscription. And someone shows you a demo of how it works. And you're like, damn, this is magic. And you buy the subscription. So I genuinely think that Sam Altman and his team made a super great job on the marketing. And if you look at his tweet, it worked because they cut the access to the Plus subscription today. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
They were swamped. Too many new registrations. Yeah.
Which is crazy because if you think each registration is probably because of GPT-4 and the GPT, which is $25.
Oh my God.
And he just cut access to it. How crazy is this?
There's not enough hardware in the world. This is the problem. Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts. It's temporary, but like they are having a surge issue. That's how bad it is.
For me, like I think the whole GPTs thing is kind of similar to a Chrome extension to a certain extent, no pun intended. So I've been playing around with GPTs for like a week or so, and like you said, like a lot of it right now is just prompt wrappers, right? Like you write like a clever prompt, and instead of sharing that thread with someone through ChatGPT, you should share the GPT. And then I saw this demo from, I think, levels.fyi.
Yeah.
Like they're the company that has like all the salary compensation data from like software engineers around the, probably mostly in the US and the Bay Area. But essentially, like they wrap the code interpreter around it, and they were like, whenever you send a query to their GPT, it will write like code interpreter Python code and then go into the CSV and then get the data out for you, which is kind of cool. And since I'm building my own product as well, I was thinking this. I was thinking that potentially I could release a GPT version of my product, which shares the API backend, and maybe it has this API token that you can use to gain access to some of the endpoints that I have, and I can release this like really lightweight, free user experience on GPT, get a bunch of traction from there, and like if the people want like the full experience, they can always sign up for like the real thing. But it's essentially free as long as I have my server running, and now my GPT is not only a prompt wrapper, but it also has access to this kind of proprietary like backend they can call and get information from.
You're absolutely right. I think there is like a cool use case which I think I saw a few days ago, and I think it may actually inspire you. I bought these Hyperwrite, so it started to do it, but I have to pay this for the subscription. But here on the right, you can see that it has looked at the YouTube videos, and it just started to kind of type them in one by one. So if you had the subscription, it's just gonna, you see, like insert into the cell, D1, D2. So it has the power. It's gonna, in the end, if I buy the subscription, fill in the whole table. But yeah, it's pretty dumb. About the tool, so there is like, have you seen this a small tool? It's called Type Frames.
No, what is this?
So basically, it can create you the demo where you basically have all the text. So it creates you a video from the text. You send it the text, and it's created like those blah, like this, where text.
Oh, I see what you're talking about. Yeah, fast pace, huge bold text, kind of like Apple style when it was hot back in. I don't know when this came out, but it's like a very trendy thing.
So now think about this. This guy, he's made a genius move. He put this to the GPT and added his backend. User can chat with the GPT, tell what his video should be about, and then after the final command, sends this basically prepared prompt to the server, and the server step by steps executes it, and as an output basically returns to the user in the GPT link to the ready demo.
Oh, so everything, the entire experience is contained in the GPT, but you just have to wait for the whole thing to generate and then send back to you a link.
Yeah, because if you think like those, I have a few actually those GPTs, right? Let me just share with you. Damn, it's loading. But basically there is like this small field which people haven't explored yet because it's so early. where you can use your OpenAI OpenAPI schema, where you can type
Yeah.
in your schema, and you can also add like the GPT token, some API access there, and the user can basically even send the API key to the chat. And yeah, so let's just let's try this one. And here in the configure, I have the additional actions, right? The schema, the import schema, the weather, something.
Mhm.
And this has a lot of potential because, as you said, the backend, the levels IO stuff, but it can also actually get leaked because people can hijack it. And
Yeah, that's funny because I know the guy who made the first post about how he got levels.fyi to like send him the CSV. I think he's a co-founder at Stack AI, and I might or might not have an interview there at one point. And super cool guy, went to MIT, and he's like, oh, like beware of like if you upload any sort of files to GPTs, like OpenAI didn't do anything to like prevent people from injecting it at all. I think I don't know if there's changed that right now, but I think when this first launched, like there was nothing to prevent people from injection.
Yeah, definitely. Now they can just ask if someone wants to inject it, tell a joke or something instead of returning the answer, and yeah, it just works. Well, yeah, it's gonna like call the API here, the weather, and I think there are plenty of opportunities here. If you kind of ask the user to like kind of send an API token they can get from the server, and you can, I think there are plenty of opportunities of the products which will be like solo GPT based. Let's say you need to talk to, like even about the use case where you need to talk to the lawyer. Let's say some lawyer agency will create a GPT, and if you kind of get stuck or you want like 100% verified solution, you're just gonna send your data to the backend, and the real lawyer is gonna take a look at it, and user never have to leave a GPT. Which kind of leads to the AGI, where everything is done in one use case, and the OpenAI has all the data, and they kind of have a monarchy. But it's pretty dope shit. I mean, I'm so excited about it.
Yeah, I feel like we can talk about GPTs all day, but I think the topic of today is open source and local LMs. Does anyone else have any questions about and the stuff, how extensions work, or?
Well, I think actually just to bring it back to GPTs, it's sort of the point. It's like, look at us four here, all, back-end hackers, and it's like, extensions are hard, and oh, this is good, makes it better, but like the whole model is like insane, and it's really hard. And compare that to GPT, because I think the point is not where it is and how safe, and as like the point is anyone can make a GPT.
Yeah.
I think like the experience of that, that onboarding is like, what do you want to do? And here's your logo, and then your thing, and then you can interactively like refine it. It's just a bit magical. It feels like that, like the V0 dev from Vercel, same thing. It's like, not only is it ridiculously awesome to get started, but then you can jump in and refine, which is the whole theme around what's been happening with ChatGPT in general. It's like the level up of being able to like refine the question with someone who remembers the last thing we said, and maybe even much more history, is just such a game changer. So yeah, I think there is a lot of questions, and you guys certainly brought up a lot of them about like, how is this even ever gonna possibly work with security and keys and who's making money, all that. But like the experience is like, you can't say this isn't ridiculously awesome and easy. So that's the actual thing. And yes, it'd be nice if it was local, it was nice if it was safe, it's nice as a lot of things, but that's those are hard problems that we just have to work through slowly.
Yeah. I mean, the GPTs makes a very good use case for like GPTs. I think it was made for hackers for a long time, because if you think about it, you have to imagine yourself, who would you want GPT to be right now? Do you want it to be a coder, a lawyer, I don't know, a caring mother who will tell a story to a kid? You have to kind of imagine it. And if someone is showing you a prompt, you kind of already have a template. You don't have to explain who do you want it to be. I mean, for me, GPTs I don't use them at all. They're useless, because I know how to explain myself super precisely, because I code. I mean, I do it on a professional daily basis. But many people, they don't know how to tell AI what does it need to execute. So for 99% of the people, it's going to benefit from it. And this is a good thing, which is moving AI forward.
I just started using yesterday on the ChatGPT app the completely voice mode, like voice in and voice out.
Nice.
And I'm thinking like, yeah, instead of giving someone a 1-800 number for support, if you do that, like the experience is so good.
Yeah.
And like there's no interaction now, no keyboards. I'm thinking about my mother, you know, like she gets it. Oh, it's awesome. She's not gonna open up a tab, like let alone what these things she's doing, but like she can talk to something. And I'd like to put a GPT, a customized GPT, just over voice, and have some kind of universal link you can click to get to it, and just have a natural voice conversation. It's so good.
Yeah.
It just brings down the barrier like so much.
Yeah.
Imagine a phone conversation like with your bank support, but you're also getting the transcript in the background, and it's really responding to you properly. It's amazing.
Trust me, 1 year, maybe like even less than 1 year, is going to be a standard. I mean,
I think so.
It was already changed in a lot of, I mean, I have seen so many startups which are kind of, you know, when you kind of can leave your number on the page and someone will call you, right?
Yeah.
I know like 4 people who tried to make this startup happen, and this is only in my friendship neighborhood.
Oh, you mean like 4 different people had the same idea?
Yes, like you know, when you kind of have you leave a number and someone calls you, or you kind of chat with it with a voice on the web page, and it answers you and try to sell you the product. Like, look at these shorts. Their color is so white, you should buy them. Like this kind of stuff. And for many people, it works. I mean, for me, it will never work. But for people who are kind of still older population, like less than 2000, like more than 30 years old plus, these will work like magic. And yeah, I mean, world is gonna change so fast. I don't know if I'm more excited or kind of scared about it, but I think it's kind of both. What about you?
Eric, I think you have a question, right?
Yeah, just my kind of final thoughts. I really like how you support both OpenAI and local open source models, and I also liked your comment about how the open source models also perform very well. I think you should continue to, of course, focus on both avenues, as they both have their advantages. And yeah, nice work.
Have you seen, by the way, my demo with the Baklava model?
No.
No. Okay, so this is actually another thing which went viral. It's called real-time Baklava. It's got like okay, it's 260 stars. It
What's
basically
Baklava? What is Baklava? Sorry, what is Baklava?
Well, let me just show it to you. It's hard to explain. Let me just show it to you, okay? Downloads.
Dan can contain his excitement.
So it's using Llama CPP. It's running completely local, and it's honestly, it's magic. It's some kind of magic. Let me just show it to you. So command R/server, right? Server. Wait. .server. Okay. .server. Okay. So it's gonna run the Baklava model. Let me just show what is the Baklava model in a few seconds, literally. I'm gonna duplicate the tab, and I'm gonna do enter the downloads folder. We're gonna git clone. Okay, so the cd real-time Baklava. It's pretty good. Wait. Okay, we're already there. Okay, and now I just run this code, and it's looking at my camera. It's looking at my camera right now, and let's say I make the fingers up. I think it has oh, no. This is the wrong stuff. This is the wrong model. But okay, so basically it's saying that the image of a young man standing in a room with his arms extended, and it's kind of explaining what does it see. So let's say I'm showing it an iPhone. I mean, it takes a picture from my webcam, and you see it's saying that I have a black shirt. But let's say I'm showing it an iPhone, and the next step is gonna. I just wait for it. Okay, holding a smartphone with a smile on his face. You see, so it's using basically like GPT-4 vision, but locally. And I'm just gonna cancel it. And the core idea is that it's using the Llama CPP. So here is the local Llama server. Oh, yes, local Llama CPP server. It's running on this port, and it's making a prediction of what does it see. And the Baklava model is actually Baklava model. Yeah, so it got pretty popular. It combines the Mistral 7B and the Lava model. Mistral 7B, Mistral 7B and the Lava model is the model which has the vision capabilities. It's like GPT-4, but open source. Okay, okay. Your fault. Okay, this is a mistake. Yeah, so this is the the crazy stuff. This actually tweet, it went pretty viral. It got like, I think, 350 views on Twitter. Andrew Karpathy liked it. The founder of the Llama CPP also liked it. And he even followed me. I was like, what the fuck? Llama CPP founder followed me. And yeah, it was crazy cool.
So what's the next step for this project?
Nothing. It was just show people what the AI is capable of, and many people actually took it off and started to work on their projects like Web GPT or something. And I'm just happy that I showed people what is it capable of. And then actually the next project I showed people what is it capable of again is where you kind of just put a camera somewhere in your room, just start doing yoga movements, and it's kind of telling you if you're doing them correctly or wrong. And if you're doing them wrong, it kind of says to you, hey, you're kind of, I don't know, your leg is too high. Put it lower, and the position will be the correct Ashwagandha yoga. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
Or
really
just think of like I've seen a lot of very creative things people do in the IoT space to do like helpful monitoring for elder people, or in large group homes where like they're just trying to figure out from your vitals and some Wi-Fi kind of sensors that like people are okay, for example. Now you have somebody describing that like, oh my God, your mother doesn't seem well today. It's bonkers.
Yeah. Well, I can actually show you another project which I literally launched on Twitter 4 hours ago. It's super new. It's also on the GitHub. I mean, I made it to 100% free. Let me just find it. Okay, so the idea is that it's taking I set up a script which is taking a screenshots of my laptop screen every 3 minutes. And those screenshots are actually stored here. So this stuff I just showed you, right? And it's taking the screenshots. And after that, at 9 p.m., let's just find the folder. I think I'm in the wrong folder.
to make a highlight of your day or something.
Exactly. This is just, it's so crazy. It's crazy good.
Imagine all the technologies you can use to track workers.
This is such a good B2B idea, man. Someone should do it.
Please don't ever make that technology.
Okay. So
I will never want anyone to track if I'm on Facebook or on Slack for how many hours a day.
Oh, you're saying this right now. Soon you'll change your mind. Okay, let me just change the webhooks to my local folders. I made it for the open source stuff. And yeah, okay, I'm going to turn off my screen for a little while to set up the API key. Give me a sec. I just need to set up my...
That's okay. Open Interpreter already sent us all your
Oh,
keys.
yeah.
Your AWS keys, your Google Cloud keys. We have them all.
Oh, thanks. Folder. Okay. Okay, I'm sharing it back again. This is a crazy demo. I mean, This idea is actually part of my application to the Rewind. You know Rewind, guys?
What's Rewind?
Rewind.ai. Have you heard about it?
I don't think I have.
It's like this. You basically can scroll through a history. You see what I'm doing? I'm scrolling through the history of my today. I'm scrolling back.
Oh, okay.
Crazy, right? So I'm in the interview processes. So the idea here is that it has the it has the access to my endpoint and my IFTTT trigger, right?
Mhm.
And let's say I'm here, and here I have the. Okay, let me just put it here. Okay, and it's gonna send me an email. Then I have to reset all the keys. I think I showed it. Anyways, I'm still too late. So now if I have to kind of launch it manually, but it's gonna just see how it goes. Yeah, so here I just do the python.analyze, right?
Mhm.
And it's working on my screenshots one by one. Let's see actually how much it's gonna work on, because there are limits for the API. And in the end, it's gonna make a summary of what have I done today and send it to my email. Crazy cool, right? Okay, damn, it's too big. It's gonna take a while. The API is pretty slow, but yeah, actually, I think this demo is going viral. Let me check.
So, quick question about LLMs and how you got into them and why you're making all these open source projects. Because I think we got a couple more minutes before I gotta go somewhere. But
Yeah, sure.
so what got you started in doing, first of all, like open source and also like LLMs, and then second, do you consider yourself like an indie hacker? Like, do you plan to build like a solo product, kind of like release on Twitter and then go viral, that kind of way?
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna join the. I mean, if Rewind is gonna accept me, I'm gonna join the Rewind, because they're doing super cool stuff with AI, and they have access to the screenshots on the user history. But I think I'm gonna try to be an indie hacker, and I'm gonna use this tool with a extension and chat with what you see, right? And I think this. I mean, it got like many signups, so I'm hoping I can earn some money on this. But I think I'm gonna stay with the bigger idea and the greater impact on the world. So yeah. By the way, it has just sent me an email like 0 minutes ago with my today's summary. So open Finder, write on VS Code, made a via IFTTT webhook, some Canva, GitHub, polish websites, Telegram, blah, blah, blah. And it basically every day at 9 p.m. is going to send me this email. So yeah, this is the stuff. I hope you like it, guys. I hope you like it.
Yeah, this is super cool. I'm seeing a lot of stuff that I haven't tried myself or planning to try, but didn't have the time. So really appreciate that you demo a bunch of stuff for us. This has been pretty cool.
Yeah, I hope I shared the excitement. Nice.
You did, Robert. You're very kind to share your time with it, and a lot of exciting things that you are doing. Yeah, thanks for the links, the talk, the excitement. You're great.
Thanks.
Thanks, Robert. I'm very impressed with all of your work, particularly your open source projects. And yeah, keep up the great work.
Nice. I appreciate it, guys. It was nice having there. Having how do you say it? It was nice.
What time is it in Poland right now?
It's 9 p.m.
Okay. I mean, so that's pretty much it. I don't have any more questions, but if anyone has any more questions, or if anyone wants to follow you, where can they find you? Are you on Twitter?
Yeah.
Of course you're on Twitter.
Of course on Twitter. Where else? Let me just share a link. Okay, go in here, and yeah, I sent a link in the chat. Yeah, well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I'll drop the link in the YouTube video once this is out. But again, thank you so much for your time, and hope you stick around and just kind of hang out in the Discord. If anyone's interested in what Robert is making, you also have a Discord, right? So you can drop the link to our general channel, and anyone's interested should definitely join.
Sure. I'll put your link to Also send this. Okay, nice. Well, I guess have a good morning, right? Afternoon.
3 p.m. right now, I think. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so
So
have a nice afternoon, and yeah, thank you for having me. Have a good day.
awesome. You too. Thank you.
See ya. Bye.
G'day, everybody. Thanks, Hyde, for setting this up.
Of course.